Some opening lines hit so hard, you never forget them. They're the kind that pull you straight into another world, another life, sometimes into another nightmare. Today, I'm going to see how many you can recognize before I reveal their sources. We're going to have some fun. Hey there, everyone. I'm Jim, the father of the father son duo who bring to you Fantasy for the Ages, the show where we talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. Before we jump into today's episode, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and hit that notification bell so you're reminded when our new content comes out practically every day. And of course, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. You make this all continue to be possible. If you're not yet part of that crew, come join us. There's a link down in the show notes to our Patreon page and where you can learn about the nice perks, the sneak peeks, advance releases, and other things that we love sharing with our Patreon peeps. So here's what I've got in store for you today. I've pulled together 30 of the best opening lines from speculative fiction, split evenly across fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. But here's the twist. We're moving in order from least iconic to most iconic. As I share each one, I'll read the line first, then pause. I'm giving you a chance to guess where it's from before I reveal the title and the author. So that means this is not just a list, it's a game. How many of these can you spot just from that opening line? It's like that song game, Name That Tune, but with fiction novels. Play along, keep track of the score, and let me know in the comments how well you did. By the way, I've only read 17 of these 30 novels, but I'm certainly familiar with all of them. They're well-known books. All the rest, they are on my TBR, and as I researched for this episode, I actually moved a number of them higher on the list because it just made me hungrier to get inside these books. I hope you have a similar reaction. Ready to play? Let's go. So again, we're starting with the least iconic, a category I'll call cult favorites and modern gems. You may or may not get these. If you get all 10 of them, that's pretty impressive. The first one, here it is. The parties at the Tuñón mansion had been legendary. This is from Mexican Gothic, a fantasy novel by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which only came out back in 2020. Next, the circus arrives without warning. No announcements preceded. Yeah, this is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, published in 2011. Fantasy novel. Here's our next one. I did two things on my 75th birthday. I visited my wife's grave, then I joined the army. Yeah, that's from Old Man's War by John Scalzi, a sci-fi novel, book one of a series. This came out in 2005. Next up, some years ago, there was in the city of York a society of magicians. This is from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, the 2004 fantasy novel by Susanna Clark. For our next one, this is short and sweet. Be ready for it. I'm pretty much fucked. It's hard to say that. I don't use that word. But this is a great story. This is from The Martian by Andy Weir, sci-fi novel, originally self-published in 2011, but it was really good. It got picked up by a publisher, and its main print release was 2014. Next book. Her name is Melanie. Yeah, that one's kind of hard unless you've read it. This is from The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, which came out in 2014. I haven't read it. It's very high on my TBR, one of the next books I'm going to be diving into. Here's another one. Shadow had done 3 things in prison. Most of these, there's no way you'll guess unless you've read the book. Not in this first category. This one, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, 2001 publication, so a lot of you fantasy fans have read this book. For another one, we have There Was a Hand in the Darkness, and It Held a Knife. That's from the Graveyard Book, also by Neil Gaiman, 2008 publication. Then we have When I Wake Up, the Other Side of the Bed is Cold. This is from The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, 2008. I did not remember this line at all. So, interesting. And the last book in our initial 10, here's the quote. The seller of lightning rods arrived just ahead of the storm. This is from the classic horror novel Something Wicked This Way Comes, 1962 publication by Ray Bradbury. All right, those were tough. If you even got half of them, be impressed with yourself. They get a little easier moving forward. So let's start with, from the bottom, this is the 20th most iconic in this category that I'll say is recognizable among genre fans. There's a good chance you'll get a decent percentage of these. We begin with, let's start with The End of the World, why don't we? That's from the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, a fantasy novel book, one of a trilogy. It's kind of a fantasy sci-fi mashup. 2015. 19th best, most iconic is the hegemony consul sat on the balcony of his ebony spaceship and played Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C-sharp minor. Okay, that was one of the tougher ones, unless you've read it. Hyperion by Dan Simmons, 1989 sci-fi novel. 18th most iconic, The Great Fish Moved Silently Through the Night Water. Okay, that one you could possibly even guess. We're talking Jaws by Peter Benchley, 1974, and I read that in 1976. I was only in first grade. Great book. Didn't understand it, but there's a big fish. Number 17. The Deliberator belongs to an elite order, a hallowed subcategory. That's from Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, a sci-fi novel published in 1992. Continuing, the 16th is Once There Were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. Please tell me you got that one. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Portal fantasy novel, 1950. 15th on the list. As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. That's not one you've probably thought of in a while if you have read it. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, published in 1915. I had to read that in high school. Maybe you did too. 14th on the list is I'll Make My Report as If I Told a Story. This is The Left Hand of Darkness, a science fiction novel by Ursula K. Le Guin from 1969. That's a favored novel of many of our fans out here, so you might have got that one. Number 13, more and more iconic here. It was night again. The Waystone Inn lay in silence, and it was a silence of 3 parts. Now, I know a lot of you got this one. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, his classic 2007 novel, the first of an unfinished trilogy. If you've read that, you got it, and maybe even if you didn't. 12th most iconic quote. Here we go. Jack Torrance thought, officious little prick. That's from The Shining by Stephen King, the 1977 novel, but even if you just saw the movie, you might have got that one. And the final book in this middle range category, here we go. The 3rd of May, Bistritz, left Munich at 8:35 p.m. on 1st of May. Dracula by Bram Stoker, the classic 1897, one of the OGs of horror. And I really enjoy that novel. All right, now we move to the top 10, the stone cold iconic first opening lines. I won't be shocked if you get all of these. Let's find out. Number 10. A beginning is the time for taking the most delicate care that the balances are correct. That's from Dune, Frank Herbert's classic 1965 start to the Dune saga. Number 9. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Okay, that's probably the hardest one of these 10. This is from The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, the 1959 horror novel, which I just read this year. Number 8. The sky above the port was the color of television, tuned to a dead channel. That's a great line. That's from Neuromancer by William Gibson, 1984 sci-fi novel. Number 7. We should start back, Garrett urged as the woods began to grow dark around them. It's a really great start to a series. This is from A Game of Thrones, the fantasy novel by George R.R. Martin, which came out in 1996, book 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire. Number 6. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. It's kind of a big clue in that one. The Gunslinger, book 1 of Stephen King's The Dark Tower saga, which is a fantasy, sci-fi, western, horror mashup. It's marvelous. So that was from 1982. 5th on the list. Please get this one. It was a pleasure to burn. I know, it's not a lot of words, but a lot of people have read this. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, the 1953 sci-fi classic that, again, a lot of people read in school. 4th best. The lapping of water in his ears. That was the first thing. I remember reading this. It's such an unusual way to start a book, and I was immediately sucked in. This was The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, first book in his First Law trilogy, 2006 grimdark fantasy novel. All right, number 3. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. 50-50 whether you'll get this. It's an absolute classic. We're talking 1984 by George Orwell, published in 1949. Okay, these last two, slam dunks. You could almost just give yourself points. Here we go. Number 2. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Yeah, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Believe it or not, written all the way back in 1937. And the final book, most iconic opening line. The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Okay, this actually is a line that opens most of the books of the series in The Wheel of Time. I'm pulling it from the original spot, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan in 1990. Though it should be noted, it comes from the opening of the first chapter after the prologue. I don't know. Does that make it a cheat? It's my episode. I can do what I want. So there you have it. 30 opening lines from modern gems to immortal icons that shaped entire genres. I hope you enjoyed this stroll down memory lane. If you've read these books, maybe they sparked a little nostalgia for you. And if you haven't, well, congratulations. You just found some amazing new titles to add to your TBR. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell. And of course, thank you again to our Patreon supporters. Let's give a shout out to a few. Brittany B, Eric Hahn, Tall Dark, and Emmeline. Thanks for your ongoing support. We really do appreciate you. You're totally awesome. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.